Kicked me out again. The Boomy boom.
Just a little. Just.
Excellent.
Justin.
They're so reflective.
Oh, you've got buttons. I don't
see
have
everything in these.
Yeah, but I can't hear them again.
How's this?
It's coffee time. Shall we clap? 3, 2, 1. Jazz hand. Well, I had a great start to the week because I had a day off in the shop.
Yeah.
Best thing ever. I want to do that every week.
The whole day.
Work out how to. The whole day.
Wow.
It was for my birthday. It was my birthday last week.
Yeah,
Laura asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I was like, just a day to myself in the workshop. And it coincided such that we moved we worked during the controversial public holiday last week. And so the whole team wanted to switch it around and take this week off. This Monday off. So yeah, I just came in and spent the whole day noodling around. It was great. And just like that sense of getting to work and knowing that I had the full day ahead of me and I could just get distracted by whatever I wanted. Had the workshop to myself. It was the best feeling. So yeah, more of that, please.
Mm-hmm. Did you get anything good done, or is it just like for fun?
No. Yeah, I did a lot of cleaning in the end, which was satisfying. Because I had to get ready for our job interviews that were running on Tuesday. But I made some silly things like a snowplow for the forklift to try and manage the drifts of sawdust that are around the factory a little bit better. And that was a silly exercise. But that was fun. And yeah, it was just the sense of like unaccountable time. That was really pleasing. And yeah, quite rare these days.
Yeah. I have on my list 3 things here on like my sub list on the side of like, if I have time, and I just like keep writing the same things down over and over that never actually happens, you know? Same. It's like install things that are like superfluous or like you don't necessarily need them for any of you watching this video, maybe only Gem on YouTube. I got this little arm and this new feature. It's not completely new. I think it came out with Ventura for Mac, but you can use an iOS device as your camera and microphone for like your Mac, and it's wireless.
Am I seeing you through your phone now?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can never tell because it's such crappy live streaming quality between us, but it looks way better from my end.
Didn't realize we're jumping to Software Corner.
What's new in Software Corner?
You did it. I was going to make one of those. Nice. Good. That's about it. That's all my Software Corner for today. But you need to go look at the YouTube.
It looks really good. I need to learn how to do it because it looks great. And that's why we can see your wide
Yeah,
angle.
a little wider, I think. I probably can change the view, but... So I also did...
Gorgeous reflections.
Yeah.
On those glasses.
Oh, I made a YouTube video this weekend on the new like geometry selection features that Fusion kind of... I'm just going to say forced on everybody because you can't turn them off. And some people are not happy about it. I happen to like them, luckily. Haven't found any major problems with them yet. I've recorded the whole, like every part of the video, audio, anything that's not a screen recording is done via this whole contextual camera, it might be called. I don't know what it's called. This Mac feature. And this little arm. And I put a microphone connected to my phone, like an on-camera mic, you know, for like a DSLR. Yep. And it works amazing. It's a little bit rougher audio than like this setup because it's just less costly of a setup. But like it was almost live viewing. Blows my mind. How does that work? It's live recorded from a wireless device to your Mac. What? It's crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Looks great. I don't know if I've got any Software Corner this week. I suppose an update. We haven't made any further progress on the Kidda Parta, as you called it. I've got another meeting with Finland this afternoon. Jay and I are going to be on the call, and we're going to hopefully get some more technical answers out of someone on there. team about integration. We did get a quote.
Bigger show.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Recording soon.
It's big dollars. The integration cost was quite high. So we want to chat to them about that, about why that's so high. So no major progress there. And the only other thing I've done this week is we had our sort of quarterly business planning session yesterday with Sarah and I and the coaches. And we updated our rolling sort of quarterly business plan. It's not a big business plan. It's a one-pager. It's sort of like, what are our top priorities for next 3 months, 6 months, and our profit goal for the year. And it's a rolling goal. And sort of I came off the back of that with a bit of a breakthrough of like, instead of my default diary being these like random blocks of marketing time, this time, like that don't directly relate to that bigger picture plan. I was like, cool, I'm just going to build my daily structure within this plan. So I retyped it all out in workflow or used Text Sniper, which is one of my favorite tools now. Thank you for that.
Love that.
So good. But yeah, I recreated this little mini business plan in workflow, and then I've kind of built my default diary and to-do list within the business plan, so some part of it. So that in theory, all my activities in some way contribute to this plan that will get us to where we want to be. So stay tuned. I'll see how that goes. But,
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting way of focusing.
Yeah. It is interesting. I don't have any major thoughts on that. I just want to see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah. Early days. One of the things that we want to achieve in the next 3 to 6 months is to create a culture document for the business.
Yep.
And I saw you had some super interesting little tidbits on that.
Yeah, Rob Blockwood messaged me from listening to the last episode and made suggestions on when to break kind of like rules about pricing jobs and stuff, when to go below minimums, and how hard that is to like advise somebody else. Both you and I want our team to have some autonomy in making choices that are right. Had a good way to describe that. And then Rob was like, Alaska Airlines, which is especially in the Northwest up here in America, he said they have this do the right thing policy. And so I'll put a link to it, but kind of synopsis I understood was like, we have rules, we have guides, but like if either another employee is doing something that's not maybe the right thing, you should report it. But also if it's in regard to like improving a customer experience, or maybe in our case, it could be like, somebody's working for a nonprofit and it's a really good cause, like you should do the right thing. You should choose to do that because it's the right thing, is my interpretation of it. I don't know about Alaska Airlines, but it's like, don't stick to a rule that seems arcane in the moment because you, on a personal level, can understand the other person's issue. The thing I said back to Rob is like, I like that a lot, because it's like, then you don't ever get the situation theoretically that's like, well, the boss told me to do it. Like you don't get this, like everybody has some accountability. And in this document, it's very corporate. It's like, talks a lot about like, there's no excuses. And, if you're doing the wrong thing, you will be held accountable. So it goes both ways, which I found very interesting. It does give a perfect but imperfect answer to like when you break the rules. Like, and I think it just gives a lot of like, I always like things where you give autonomy to, employees or team members, that it's not always like it shouldn't be a top-down decision-making situation. Like everybody should have some ability. Like Pearson always talks about, it's like, we don't want to hire robots to do people work. We want to hire robots to do robot work and use the people for their intelligence. Yeah. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it was a great way to, frame what we were failing to express last week. And just that. Yeah. So, thank you, Rob. That mini rule breaking. Really cool. So I've kept that note in my little cultural document that I won't get GPT to write for me.
Sure, no.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, it's pretty bold for an airline to say, break the rules. I
really,
can see that working really well in our context.
I personally have found I don't like most airlines. I just think they're all huge corporate things in America that do not care about customers in the least. And it's also hard to care about, all the amount of people and all their situations. But since moving up to the northwest of the United States, they are like one of the main airlines. They're usually more costly, but we don't fly that often. So we usually choose to fly with them because they do feel like they don't screw you and have some better amenities, just minor better amenities, and the planes are nicer. It's just, they just feel like they care more than the rest do. So this doesn't surprise me all that much in that regard from them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not sponsored.
Not yet. How else am I going to get to Australia?
That ding has never been more appropriate. Alaska Airlines, if you're listening, Justin wants to visit Jim. We can work out a real nice deal. Hit me up.
Borrowed a lot of our culture document to start from a couple different sources. I had a couple of friends that had bigger companies that lent me theirs, or I found some online. I forget. Cool. There's some big tech companies. We talked about this kind of stuff with like Netflix, I think, a while back. But
yeah,
it's also hard to distill it down. I probably should review it because it's been a long time.
That was a function that I really liked about that new Guru knowledge base app that Jay's investigating, is that when you put stuff into it, you can assign so how often should this information be checked for freshness.
How soon I can ignore that review.
Fantastic.
How often would you like to ignore this detail? It's usually how my life works. That's kind of nice.
So speaking of culture docs and onboarding and all of that world, we have interviewed a bunch of new candidates for a production operator role this week. We had 5 interviews on, what day is it? Tuesday.
Yeah.
And they went really well, like super strong. It's going to be very hard to decide. At 5, we would have been like, you start after lunch. But there was a couple of clear leaders. So, yeah, we're doing our due diligence and calling references and all of that stuff this week. And hopefully we'll have a job offer going out by the time this podcast comes out, certainly. But yeah, that was cool. The interviews went really well.
Did you do anything different than normal? Other than not hire right away, I guess.
Yeah. Sarah did all the work in terms of preparing it all and all of that. And so it was, as Sarah, whenever Sarah does anything, she does it very well and thoroughly. So everything was, all the boxes were ticked. So a really good list of questions, just well prepared for, basically. And we got to this point where we had 2 candidates. The 3 of us, Ben, Sarah, and I, were pretty unanimous in terms of who we thought was the top candidate. Mm-hmm. But I was probably the only one who had more doubts in terms of were we making the right decision. And like my gut was telling me one thing, and this person's credentials or skill set was sort of clearly like the one that we should choose. But there was another option where I was like, who do I want to come to work with? Like, at the end of the day.
Yep, that's huge.
Who do I want to come and work alongside? And they were both great options. So, yeah, I was a bit torn on that decision. But last time this happened, we just hired both of them. So that might still happen.
Oh, man, that'd be nice.
We'll see.
I'm getting kind of drunk on the idea of we got lucky and won a couple really nice sized jobs January. And so I'm a little bit drunk on the idea of hiring, although I need to, my first goal is to create more of a cash buffer because it's been a little too bit up and down before I consider adding to the anchor of costs. Part of the other thing, I guess, I wrote down was Ricky's been we're kind of waiting for this big job to start, and he had a couple days where we didn't have a lot going on. He's like, what can I help with? And we've just talked about, I've, lamented a lot about how I feel like, I really need help with quotes and like emails and stuff. And he had traditionally not done much of that. But then we were just finally like, let's just try it. Like, he was super down to start to communicate with customers more directly. And we always, the caveat being, it's like, well, when this is a secondary job, and he's been doing great. His gut feelings were just like, I always kind of do it as like all right, what do you want to send? And they're usually a little hesitant than the person learning how to communicate this way. And so we'll, talk about a draft or like of an email and stuff. We kind of go back and forth, and they're usually better than I can rate them so far. Like, mine are always shorter and like more blunt, and his are like kind of the right length and saying all the nice things. I'm like, maybe we should have done this a while back. But he's been doing pretty well at that, and he's been doing some other like sourcing stuff. We've been trying to find a couple different sources of products, and he's taken on a lot of that too, and kind of some down to like when the machine's running or those kind of things. So it's been really nice to like, he took a weird weight off that you kind of don't realize you have in those circumstances, where it's just like there's that extra layer of like, I haven't gotten back to all those people about their quotes, and all of a sudden they're gone out of the fresh desk, and I'm like, whoa, that's nice.
Awesome. Nice one, Ricky.
Yeah,
I love my team, and I have a lot of, like this week right now, I'm really enjoying the dynamic, good feelings. But like just hearing you talk about that, like, makes me kind of remember when it was just me and one other, or like just a couple of people. Like, there's something really nice about that dynamic. Like, you've obviously got such a good helper in Ricky.
Yeah. You really have to like that other
egg.
person when it's two people. That's
You really gotta like them.
Really gotta like them. Or don't talk much.
But yeah, it's a pretty special dynamic, I think, when you've got that close working relationship and it's just one, a couple of you. It's cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's lucky for him, for sure. He's always willing to do whatever. Aaron and I joke sometimes about like, if I had to go to war, I'd take Ricky for sure. Like, like if that ever became a thing, I feel like he just never says no to anything. So
I don't have a sample for that. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. What are you guys making this week?
We've done this kind of repeat job. Can't really talk much about it, but they're just fairly generic plywood parts, but a lot of them. They're 1,900. The stack of material we got, I think, is the largest we've ever gotten yesterday. It was over 6 feet tall, which is a lot for our little shop. So like 125 sheets. And
wow, cool.
Yeah, it's three different parts. It's been up to like 6, and they kind of assemble into a thing. The client assembles them, and we've done it enough times that what I love about it, this job in particular, is, I don't know if you do this, but like, we get a new arrangement of parts and I have to kind of rhino or something, but then I have so many old versions of it in Fusion that I just like pull in the old like setup into the new file when I upload it, and it, copy all the stuff. But I've gotten, a decent video to like talk about how to optimize a file, like a cycle of a project. So like, we have to cut 1,000 of these parts, and you only get 21 a sheet. So all of that time between when we start and when we finish is time that we can either gain or lose profitability, right? It's you start at that point, and it's like we almost always start in a rough place and then optimize it. So after time, we've realized, they used to have tabs on them. If we detab them on the machine, it actually extends the cycle a little bit, but it's like way better that you don't have to do it manually, and they come off really clean, and you basically just put them on a pallet at that point. You don't have to, we've optimized like tab cutting off and like the extra drop material. Done some stuff at the end of the end of the file, where it'll automatically load the next tool before it ends, and then waits a certain amount of time and puts the pop-up pins up so that like they're there for you once you've cleaned up to put the new sheet in. And it's like those stupid little things that you don't have to do 40 times yourself are both like a great personal, like, it feels nice when those all work well and you don't have to do those things because it's like have the robot do the robot thing. But it also is just like time we saved, you know, like it feels good to like get it done faster, and I enjoy that.
That's
optimization.
Cool. That's awesome. I love that stuff too. Are you doing those program modifications with NC pass-through in Fusion, or are you just modifying G-code?
I used to do it that way, and sometimes I do. I'll add like a dwell that way with the pass-through, but actually
With the
one of
pass-through?
the more complicated things I've done with, which is not that complicated, but it's like an if-then statement inside the post processor for I call it the repeat cycle checkbox.
Yeah.
So it's an option when you're posting the file, when you check it, it changes out where it ends at the bottom, and then gives you a place to like enter in, which I could totally do this with the code too, but I go and edit the file afterwards and just change the tool number that it needs to start with at the end.
Yep.
And then before it goes to park, it changes the tool so it's immediately ready to start again.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Fun
We're
little
doing the if-then statement in the post.
in the post. I can probably share that. I don't know if it'll make sense for all, but I'm sure it'll. Yeah, I've thought about trying. It's like Saunders does these like post-processor edit videos, and I'm always like, this is a little daunting to like make into a video, and I don't know if I understand it well enough to like describe it to others. Like I did it once. And it was like pre-chat GBT where I just like Googled enough stuff myself to, that worked. Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love those jobs too, where you can take the time, like they're long enough and they've got enough labor in them that you can take the time to make those little optimizations as you go. Like the small job where it's like just feels like a waste of time to sort of stop and set something like that up.
Yeah.
But like you got 100 sheets to run. It's like, I'm going to make this better for me and machine time. And yeah, that's awesome.
I still don't know this name of the thing where you like, it's this thing where it's like you go and watch something and then optimize it. I don't know what that's called. Improvement?
No, I don't know that either. No.
There's a good Japanese word for it. But we're going to watch the cycle and I'll be like, hold on, I'm going to change that. And I'll like go change the file, post it, and then it's like the next time it cut out 3 inches of like lifting that didn't need to happen, or you know, if it's also well into that whole discussion we had. This is like exactly why bigger jobs are so much better for you as the vendor to you can optimize things. Whereas like if we're just doing 2 sheets and that gets messed up, all of that margin and everything is just like packed into like, hopefully those go right. And that's usually rough, and like, you know, if something goes wrong, you're kind of screwed. So this, 100 sheets later, you can go from, or some of our best, I think it was one of these, I think I remember starting out at 45 minutes for one sheet, and we got it down to like 27, including like changing stuff out. And it was just like, just a couple improvements that changed dramatically.
That's cool. Did you have to supply the material for the job, or did the client supply?
Yeah, we usually source material, just try to streamline things.
How's the plywood situation over there these days?
Smoothed out.
Cool.
Baltic birch has ended up expensive. Every once in a while, I get a weird blip of that, but like, it's also opened up minor options and acceptance from clients to use less than that material, and there being alternatives to some degree. Like poplar stuff I still wouldn't consider even close to an alternative. It was okay, but it feels more like balsa wood to me than it does poplar. But the thing we've been using every once in a while, and it's not like a super high need, is this white birch, which is also birch, I guess, but I don't know if it comes from somewhere else, but it's a little bit cheap. It's like almost half the price. It's a little bit less consistent in both color and core void count, you know, like there's more void to it. But in a large scheme of things, like it's pretty decent. I don't know. found some success with people using that. That's
Cool.
nice.
Okay. Yeah.
We still haven't really, like, unfortunately, whereas I wish I had yours. I haven't looked hard enough, but I would love to find some more, like, domestic product, but it just, I don't know. Maybe I just haven't found the right thing. We have a lot of, like, fur material that it's just not a good, if you're looking for something that was close to Baltic birch, it's not, it's more like pine, you know, it's like, it's just not, it's not like what your comparison was to, what do you call that stuff? The Australian hoop pine, yeah.
Well, I eat pine as well, so it's quite, so not very flat. Andy was out on site yesterday, pretty much all day, fixing a job where the doors were all a bit late. Lifting away at the corners, and he went there and put a whole bunch of magnets and latches and retuned all the doors. And so, yeah, I mean, birch, technically you shouldn't make any doors out of plywood, but birch doors are pretty reliable in our experience. But yeah, definitely more of a challenge with hoop pine. But we're battling through the challenges because we want to use local material, and we've got it available, so we'll persist.
Does it stay flat after you machine it? Or consistent? Yeah. It doesn't keep moving as much?
Yeah. No, it keeps moving. We had a big bank of lockers that went up to Queensland into the humidity. I mean, it went into an office environment, but it left the workshop looking all true and flat, and by the time it was installed on site, all the doors were. So, yeah, challenges there. And I think we're just going to try and design around it. So that client that we're doing those lockers for, we've been in discussion of like just different ways that we could do the doors. So maybe doing an inset door that's like fully inset, so that it kind of conceals any deviation in where the door ends up sitting. Oh yeah, we're getting there.
Shadow lines.
Learning to shadow lines.
It's coffee time.
Did I do that? Did you? Oh, you did that. I was like, how the hell did...
That was me.
I just get confused when we have the same... We have the tones. And I'm like, how did I do that? Having made one video, like non-short video, I kind of got the bug for it again. I think you talked about that too. Like, I would love, like, you know, I was saying I get drunk on having a good month, and I'm like, oh, maybe I could hire help to do videos. Maybe I could hire help to do sales. It's like, my mind starts spinning of like, oh, this is great. Like, things are good. I have like 3 products I want to make that'll free me up. But I've been trying to, like, I think it would be hugely beneficial for us as a business, probably me personally too, to like make a consistent upload schedule of like proper YouTube videos. They always, you know, everybody always talks about how the algorithm basically will do so, make a consistency and show to your normal viewers. But I have like 50 video ideas that like I just put off because it doesn't seem like it's a good idea to spend that time, you know, in the moment. But then once I do it, I'm like, oh, that was good. I like that feeling. Like, maybe I should do that. And I haven't figured out how. Ultimately, it'd probably, if I could fit it into a more daily schedule. And so it's like a little bit all through the week. But yeah, I don't know. You dice up your time enough. It's, I have 6 minutes to work on this thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to work that out at the moment too. It's like, there's just certain things that I miss every week. Like, for instance, editing this podcast, classically, I do it after hours, like before going to bed or something. It's like,
same, yeah.
Why do I do this to myself? Like, just make time during the week to do it. You know, every Tuesday afternoon or something. Like,
yep.
And that applies to a whole bunch of things. So, like, I can make time for shooting. Like, I'm not terrible at, like, getting into the photo booth, setting up stuff, you know, shooting some video shots. And then terrible at actually making time to review that or get videos into the edit stage and then through to publishing. So that's part of my, like, default diary rebuild. I'm just trying to... I wrote a list. I was like, what are all the things that I classically don't make time for in the week that I actually need to be doing to move this thing forward? Now, when, like, try and allocate them a slot where I do them every week or every day, depending on what they are. But it's hard. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Don't know.
Doing terrible at keeping a schedule lately. And I think it would really be beneficial because whenever I start to slide into the schedule again, I'm like, oh, I'm getting so much done that I should be getting done. And it feels good. Yeah. It's just frustrating. But
Can you get Ricky to hold you to account? Can he like lock you in the office and be like, "It's that time, Justin"?
what did he say to me the other day?
Justin.
Sometimes he's super nice in this regard. This happened the other day, and I've always noticed I always feel bad when he wants to leave and I'm still here. And we end up talking in the office for a long time, just as like chatting. And I'm always like, dude, you can leave. Like, go ahead, go. Like, you don't have to wait for me. And he was like, I don't know, it's getting pretty late. I know you need to go home. And I was like, I have people like this in my life too often that are like too nice and I can't keep a schedule. And they're like pushing me. Like Ricky's literally as forceful as he can, which isn't, very forceful. It's like pushing me out the door, basically. Like, you need to go too.
Yeah, that external accountability is so good, though.
It is. I have been checking in that regard, been checking that my like accounting stuff, and I'm actually today was my goal to wrap up last month completely. And I've been looking at like the profitability through the month, which we just got lucky that it was like one of the best months we ever had with a new huge job. And so
awesome.
It turned into like a really positive month finally after,
Yeah, it felt really counterintuitive this week hiring a new person when we've had like a couple of months of slow sales. And like we'd had to do a little logic check in the car park the other day of like, are we doing the right thing? It's like, yes, sales are going to pick up. It's fine. We're not stressed about it. And we need this person. We're really going to need this person in a month's time when X, Y, Z happens. So
yeah,
it's the right thing to do. And it's like listening to you talk about, getting drunk on the idea of hiring more people to do things. It's like, it's that classic chicken and egg, right? If you had sales support, maybe you could win more jobs and then there would be more money rolling in. It's like, at what point do you just commit? I don't know.
What? That's exactly right. Like, I mean, people that listen to this are probably just like, you dumb. You guys say this all the time. Like, what's wrong with you? But it's like, literally in January, we got lucky on a couple big jobs that kind of walked. One that was repeat, and it's like a home run every time. Because of how November and December had gone, I was like, crap, we need work. So I was responding and winning smaller jobs that I would have ignored more in the past. But then Ricky started getting into it. And I was like, wow, like if Ricky can on his own win jobs that I don't have to deal with, like that is such a game changer of, divvying up that workflow that like, I keep thinking about how you said one of the biggest changes was when you got rid of the sine wave effect, the large factor of like, oh, we're busy, we don't need work. And then that's always been my case. And it's largely because I feel like I don't have time. Also, the like panic of money disappears when you're doing well. And so you're just like, oh, well, we don't need that job right now, which sounds crazy. But once again, splitting your day up into enough pieces, you do the things that feel necessary, or at least I do. And that's the thing, the chicken and the egg of like, obviously, Ricky, this is not going to be his full-time gig. He's good at making things. How do I hire that position? I've never successfully hired a sales position, and it seems kind of necessary. Like, I know there's a lot of time where we're not making stuff that we could be. Yeah.
Something our coaches always bang on about is like, when you're the busiest is when you need to be selling the hardest. It's like, so you don't get that slump effect. You need to stay on it, keep the momentum. But yeah, hiring sales, God, I don't know, what a tricky thing to try and do. I don't know, like there's a reason we have hired sales internally by promoting Aaron. It's because he knows everything about the business and how it works. It's like, the idea of doing that, pulling someone in external to do that role was a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I'm sure we could have great success too doing that, but yeah, it was a crazy idea.
Every time I have the same feeling. It's like, you go back to that we're special thing. that I hear everybody talk about too. And I'm sure there's harder things to sell, you know, out there than job shop work. Like it's not that hard, I'm sure, in the end. It's not even that incredibly technical compared to, I don't know, if you needed it. Like, I had this friend, they went from selling like commercial copiers, had no knowledge of them when they started, was the top seller in the region in a couple of years. And it's just, it's what does that say, right? Like, they were really good at their job and that kind of thing, but also you can learn the technical details you need to say the right things, I would assume, right? Like, and then that person also, I think they moved the regions, ended up selling other supplies for businesses that were way non-technical, and then also like vehicles, you know, like it's, and yet I'm here going, well, my business is very special. Like nobody understands wood machining. It's on a copier. Well, maybe I'll put up a hiring thing. See where we're at. It's been about a year since I tried that, and it was pretty rough the last time.
Yeah, the job market's weird here too, but being a small business with a good sort of brand presence, we had no issues. Like, we had so many applications, so many good applications of people who wanted to come and work for us. You know, not people that just were applying because it was a job ad, but people that were like, oh, yeah, I want to work for them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, I think you'd be in a similar spot. Like, you've got great brand presence.
Yeah.
Great people, great environment. Like, why wouldn't you want to come and work for PDX?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think we get some of that, and it just felt weird between like not being completely comfortable hiring, you know, like financially, and then and stability wise for hiring. I have too strong of a filter of like, I don't know, man. I don't know how this next couple of months work. I don't want to have to like let somebody go. You know, I just feel a lot of responsibility for that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
so
sure.
Anyway, I think we're definitely at a place, if things somewhat continue in the same trajectory, that kind of move on from me trying to do far too many things in the situation. That's true. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. We didn't even get to, got through a lot of stuff there.
I'll leave the marketing chat to next week.
Yeah. All right. Good to chat. Hope to hear you've hired.
Thank you. I'll be scratching around with hand planes made chair course.
Oh.
With the famous Bern Chandley, who makes beautiful Windsor chairs.
That's quite the foreshadow.
I'm doing his 6-day chair course next week, and I cannot wait.
Wow. That sounds
Johnny got me onto it.
Fancy. Wow. People do that here too. I don't know of the famous people, but there are these places you go to and make a chair in a barn somewhere.
In a barn. Yeah, it's in Melbourne. Johnny got me onto it. He did it with his dad late last year and just said,
I remember that, yeah.
How good it was. And it gets booked out like 6 months in advance. So sorry, Bern, you don't need the promotion. But yeah, it's really good. It's supposed to be really good. So I'll be doing that next week.
Sounds good.
Birthday present to myself.
Nice.
Like it. Yeah.
Cool.
But see you for the secret show and chat soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. There's glasses, there's something else.
I kind of forgot I was wearing them, but they're also like destroying the back of my head a little bit. It's like pinching like mad.
Are they prescription?
No. So, funny story of, do you know Winston Moy, content creator? He had some story about like, he always is like adding stuff to his McMaster cart, which is that cool hardware store that you can buy stuff from. And he's like, I think I gotta get these. I just looked them up on the site, and I was like, $10. Those ought to be entertaining. And they don't have color photos on their website. Typically, they're only black and white. So I thought, they're going to be stainless or something. And they were gold. They kind of match my hat.
They do. They're fantastic.
I was wearing them for the first day yesterday, and Ricky stopped me. He's like, "Where did you get those?" And I was like, thinking he was gonna like, those are hilarious. He's like, I love them. I got to get some of those. So I have another one on the. There you go. There you go. This is
Meet
a good.
you in the middle with my
Can actually.
plywood shade.
What the heck are those? It's a good. We have a little thumbnail for once. Stunner shades.
Cool.
All right.
Stunna.
See you later.
Bye.